Hello, everyone. I'm Christina, and today we, as usual, have so much to talk about. I'm glad to see the Watchman is already here, and that's great because we are going to have an extraordinary time. We got quite a few things to talk about. Um, as usual, I want to encourage everyone to like, subscribe, definitely comment, and share the video whenever you feel that we might have some interesting information that needs to be passed along. That's the beauty of this grapevine. It's not just an internet thing, it's a family thing. All right. And okay, so tonight a lot of you might know that I am kicking off my birthday today. So this is my birthday party with all of you guys. So thank you for being here. Thank you for joining me. And some of you might want to know what it is that we're talking about, right? Which is like, you know, totally what you should be asking. And I mean, who's Khrushchev? Okay. Now, what's really interesting is that an article came out on December 8th, 2020 about it's called Remember Khrushchev's Prediction. But the thing is, the prediction came out in 1959, September 29th, 1959 to be specific, right? And this was his entire quote according to the article. And when you hear this from 1959, it pretty much encompasses a lot of what we're seeing today, right? Let's go ahead and say hello to everybody that's joining my birthday party. Jeff Jacobs, One Prophetic Touch Ministry, Trent IDK. I'm so glad to see all of you guys. And just in answer yesterday's question, I am 45 today. 45. I can't believe I made it to this age. Thank you, Trent. Thank you. And Jeff and One Prophetic Touch. Thank you so much for wishing me happy birthday. I feel very, very blessed. All right. So, y'all ready to get into this? Ready to get this party started? Yeah. Okay. All right. So, this article says it's been almost 61 years since Russia's Khrushchev's delivered this in September of 1959. And I quote, "Your children's children will live under communism. You Americans are so gullible. No, you won't accept communism outright, but we will keep feeding small doses of socialism until you will finally wake up and find you already have communism. We will not have to fight you. We will so weaken your economy until you fall like overripe fruit into our hands. The democracy will cease to exist when you take away from those who are willing to work and give to those who would not. Remember, socialism leads to communism. So, how do you create a socialistic state? There are 8 levels of control. 1, healthcare. Remember Obamacare came into play? Control healthcare and you control the people. 2, poverty. Increase the poverty level as high as possible. Poor people are easier to control and will not fight back if you are providing everything for them, which I don't think is personally true, but we'll go through this stack of lists in just a second with my thoughts, all right? Number 3, debt. Increase the debt, like, the annual percentage rate for your, what's it called? When you pay an interest rate, you keep getting that high. Yeah, you constantly have debt unless you can just come up with the money to pay it off outright, right? Debt, increase the debt to an unsustainable level. That way you're able to increase taxes, and this will produce more poverty. 4, gun control. Remove the ability to defend themselves from the government. That way, you're able to create a police state, martial law. Welfare. Number 5, take control of every aspect, food, housing, income of their lives, because that will make them fully dependent on the government. Number 6, education, how much indoctrination has been going into our public school systems the last few years or so. Okay? Education, take control of what people read and listen to, and take control of what children learn in school. Number 7, religion. Remove the belief in God from the government and schools, because people need to believe in only the government knowing what is best for the people. Capitalism, I'm sure, goes along with that, because since we don't need religion. Oh, I'm getting too far ahead, right? Number 8, class warfare. Divide the people into the wealthy and the poor, or divide them among races, what I'm putting in there. I shouldn't get ahead, though. Eliminate the middle class, which they have. This will cause more discontent, and it will be easier to tax the wealthy with the support of the poor. Again, because, oh, I'm getting too far ahead. A perfect parallel to the 2020 Democratic agenda. So what do you guys think of that? Does that sound anything like what we're going through? I want to thank all 7 of you that are here. I encourage you to hit a thumbs up if you're new to the channel. Please subscribe, hit that notification bell, leave a comment, and if you feel good, go ahead and share. Best video on Daughter Babylon. We'll have to look that up soon. Daniel 11:11. Sounds good. What did I say? 43. No world leaders are repenting now, are they? No, the world leaders aren't going to. They typically don't. Not at the highest levels. No, they had to give up their souls to get there in the first place, because they're part of a brotherhood. They're part of an elite. They're part of, that royal bloodline, and so, oh no, they already made their choices. But that doesn't mean that we don't have people still that are gonna, provide part of that fight. Okay. Jeff says my military experience will be on the Brannon House Worldview Weekend Christian radio program. The story will be told by another to keep me anonymous. Sorry, I can't spell. Oh, most people can't. A lot of people can't. Don't worry about that. As long as you get your message across. So you have a Christian radio program thing going on. That's good. That's good. So let's go ahead and take a look at this article one more time and kind of relay this to what we've been seeing as to how they did this. Their first agenda was healthcare. Okay, and they came out with Obamacare that also involved guillotines, and it was supposed to help the poor, but it actually penalized the poor if you couldn't afford this insurance. Okay, number 2, poverty. Increase the poverty level as high as possible, which they've done. I mean, especially, and it's not just people that were poor to begin with. We're talking about middle class also, which leads into this eliminating the middle class thing. The more you become dependent on the government, the least likely you are to go out on your own and survive. You'll be more likely to submit if you're that dependent, okay? And the way they're increasing our poverty with increasing taxes, even on the rich, because they provide us jobs, right? So when you hurt the rich, they can't even help them. So how can they create jobs for us, right? So if they create this hatred towards the rich, and God decides who he lifts up in certain areas, then it's also going to cause divide between the rich and the poor. But they didn't stop there. They made sure that they had a racial divide going on too, a political divide. Okay, they didn't just stop with a poverty issue, but they sure didn't have a problem using minorities and people that are, widows, single moms, poverty people as their crutch to carry on their wholesome agendas, all right? Because according to this, poor people are easier to control and will not fight back if you're providing everything for them. But what I've learned is that you push somebody against a wall, they're going to push back. When you don't have anything to lose, you ain't got nothing to lose. So I think that there's a little bit of misunderstanding there. I can see where they're going with it, but I can see where everything could really turn on its head too. Number 3, they talked about debt. Increase the debt to an unsustainable level. Like, say, okay, we had all of these hyped up prices for student education, but the interest rate was so high and the employment rate was so low for that, and even the wages for some of these jobs were so low that you were unable to sustain yourself, much less pay off the debt. But if the government takes it on, that might seem good, but since the government's already broke, it just adds to the national debt, and it adds to the inflation. So where they say they were going to take up your debt, they're really not. What they're really doing is making every single dollar pretty much worthless the more they keep this up, right? And then they keep up with these bailouts and, giving millions of dollars to other country for these ridiculous reasons, right? That have nothing to do with actual humanitarianism, okay? That increases inflation, it increases debt, right? But that's on their agenda. Okay, number 4 was gun control. Right now, we have certain states that are figuring out they need to become gun sanctuary states for that amendment. Okay, because they are looking to disarm you. And they always act like you're the criminal while they're trying to disarm you. But the second you're done, they step in and they create a certain amount of havoc. Okay. Some of y'all might be able to look at history and see where those that are disarmed can't defend themselves. And there hasn't been one time I've seen in history where people weren't completely mowed down for disarming themselves. Okay. AA Strumming is here. I'm glad to see you here. Unashamed Faith, glad to see you here also. What is going on with stocks? I've seen market manipulation was a card in the yes, and it looks like a little bit of that came back on him today with GameStop, right? Some poor people became rich, and some rich people lost some money today because people are catching on. Okay. Um, yeah, the guillotines came with the Obamacare plan. Last I read, unless they snuffed out the information or changed it. What I understood, there were guillotines in Obamacare back then. That's the truth. They won't need them. They will turn the people on themselves. Oh yeah, that's what they do. Again, that's what you go back to, finding something that divides the people. It can be political, it can be financial, it can be racial, it can be religious. Okay. But that's what they need. They need the people to turn on each other so that they don't see what's really going on behind the scenes. You understand that they're taking control while we're fighting amongst ourselves about things that really were resolved 100 years ago, you know? The Watchman says Jay Inslee Washington Green plan is to have the shopping stores now give you 3 times the thickness of a bag that will last forever and charge you 8 cents for it. Bible prophecy doesn't teach that's going to happen. I can see them trying for it, but wait, I don't think any of us believe that's going to happen. If the rich take their factories and jobs overseas, we won't have any. They've already kind of done that. Trump was trying to bring business back home. But yeah, that's going to cause some problems whenever that happens. That's why we started doing the American made and trying to support our local businesses and trying to get away from Walmart and going more to the food markets, you know. Biden is stopping the Alaska pipeline too. Yes, that is correct. Let's go ahead and get back to this thing real quick. So after gun control, number 5 was welfare. Take control of every aspect of food. Aren't they? We're going to end up getting rationed by the government. Housing. We are having a housing collapse because everybody's getting evicted. Mortgages are, coming up. So you take control of every aspect of their lives through food, housing, their jobs, like maybe eliminate 100,000 jobs through shutting down a pipeline and things like that. Okay. To make them fully dependent on the government. Right. And in that way, if you're so scared and so dependent on them, no matter what they offer you, you'll take it. Okay. Education. They've indoctrinated the kids The things that they decided that they wanted the kids to learn in school were so immoral and so outright evil in the last 10 years. I don't really think I need to mention it, but it's half of the issues that we have right now. Okay? The education system, they took God out of the education. So everybody's morals are messed up on half the board. Okay? So you take control of what people try to read. You've seen book burnings in the past, right? This is somewhat different. I mean, it's not any really different. I mean, when you think of the censorship that people are dealing with and what Google and Facebook decides that it's okay for us to read, this is all under a communism thing from 1959, mind you, okay? This is what we're actually going through now, right? So number 7 was religion. There's a lot of confusion nowadays. Remove the belief in God. So they took it out of the Pledge of Allegiance. They took it out of this, that, and the other, the schools. They took it out of prayer. So they removed the belief in God from the government and schools because the people need to believe in only the government knowing what is best for the people. And then there's class warfare or racial warfare, or whatever kind of warfare, whatever divides. And they say it divide the people into the wealthy or whatever. Eliminate the middle class. Yes, they're doing that. This will cause more discontent. So people will be fighting each other while they're not even looking at what these leaders are doing. And I'm just wondering, does any of this sound familiar to you? I just heard that trans men are competing in what, yep, yep. I think there's some fighting that's going on about that because, how can you have women's sports if men just completely eliminate that? There is a physiological difference that scientifically you cannot ignore. And it just isn't fair for a grown man to be competing in women's sports. It's just not. I mean, what's even the point? Okay, the reason they came up with women's sports is because men had their own league. So what's the point? It's like you just shut out every single biological female because of your feelings. That's not right. We can't do anything about our biology. We can't change our skeletal structure or the way God made us. We just have to go with that. And so if men start getting involved, there's just never, there's really not a whole lot of winning we can do against a 6'6" man that's 250 pounds of solid muscle when most women are 5'6" or under. It's just never, there's no competition, right? It's just not fair. Do they even teach I don't know if they teach what's in the Constitution in school anymore, to be honest. It's been about 20 years since I've been there. I just turned 45 today. It's my birthday. That's right. This is our party. Don't drop this. Yep, last days in the days of Noah. Yep, they shall be eating, drinking, and being merry till the end come, right? Saw a woman getting tackled by a 6'2" bodybuilder who identified as a woman. She was like 5'2". See, that's why you need to know pressure points as women. That way, it don't matter how big this cow is attacking you, you can get them off with 2 fingers. Karate chop them right in their neck. They'll go down. Poke them in their ribs. There's just certain things, man. They'll go down, no matter how big they are. Remember David and Goliath. All right. But there was something else I wanted to talk to you about because what I just mentioned was really talking about that was a prediction for the future. This right here is also, it's for our future, but it's not a prediction. It's a plan. Okay. And this came out October 12th, 2020. All right. This article was by the Common Sense Show, and it's titled "The Russian and Chinese Planned Nine-Pronged Attack Upon America is Already Underway." All right. And it reads as such. Steve Quayle once told me that he was seeing unprecedented military movement in Montana. Today, scarcely a day goes by that I do not get a reported sighting of either Chinese or Russian troops on U.S. soil. These sightings are common on national forest grounds. In fact, what we are seeing is a mobilization for war. Russia and China are preparing to invade the United States, and they have been for some time. In 2016, I first wrote that I believed that we would be attacked when our nation was embroiled in a violent internal dispute when the attack comes. And so did, who was it? I think it was Chuck Youngbrand who said in his prophecy back in the 80s that we would be embroiled in internal United States issues when the attack happened. And this guy is saying it too. The violent struggle has arrived and it is called BLM, Antifa, and anything George Soros touches. But I think it's getting deeper than that. I think back in October, that's where it mainly was, but everybody to a certain degree is getting into the fight. It's on all kinds of different levels. But let's go on. At that time, I identified 7 phases or prongs of attack that were coming based upon US wargaming that I was told about. Plans change. I guess it's bad grammar. Plans change in today's world. The attack parameters have been expanded to 9 phases of subjugation culminating in genocide. Genocide, y'all. As the domestic struggle worsens, at some point the United Nations will invoke the Kigali principles and be in charge of the invading force. Let's just go ahead and look up what Kigali forces are. Y'all into that? I am. Let's see if we can get that. Looks like a lot of words, so you'll just have to look this up on your own. Maybe I'll look at it in a minute, but I mean, it's just something that I haven't really been prepared for. It looks like a lot of paragraphs, but it looks like it's a strategy on so many points that gets you to a desired goal. Okay, so if you want to look more into that plan, then please do. Did I miss something? Okay, we're all over. Oh, y'all, you guys are fine. I get it. Joe Biden's military. Okay, yeah, we'll look into some of those Bible verses. Be sure to have those for me, Watchmen. Just kind of the 11:11 one and that one. Just keep it noted, and when we get done with this article, remind me of that, and we'll go back and look up those Bible verses. Yeah, Antifa wasn't about any president. They're about revenge. So it doesn't matter, after so much time, it's like, what did they even really want to tell us what revenge they wanted for? Or, they're just anti-government. Okay. So if Joe Biden thought he was safe, no, nobody's safe from people that don't like authority, don't like to follow any types of rules, and don't know how to compromise. Um, Yeah, Antifa does have that communism is a good idea in their head. That's right. Strumming reprobate minds, correct. Christy Harp, good to see you. New Girl Hill, just want to say hello. Welcome, 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 Christy Harp. We're always glad to have new people aboard. It's just awesome to see you. And I hope you enjoy yourself while you're here. All right, so we're gonna go a little bit further into this chat. Okay. Um, As the domestic struggle worsens, at some point, the United States nations will invoke the Kigali principles, which we'll have to look up. But in all of the visions, well, most of them that people had, the United Nations was involved. I saw the Russians, and I saw some Middle Eastern people that had been here for a while that had become Americanized, but some of them were plants. That's what I saw. And then others saw the Chinese here too. But apparently it was everybody that's going to be here. But we need to look up these Kigali principles. That looks really important to me. But the United Nations, we knew, would be here involved in all of this. Okay. So the article goes on. In other words, it is likely that Chinese and Russian forces will be wearing blue helmets. That was predicted back in the 80s. That's crazy. At the time of the invasion of America. And as I've written about over the past several years, previous Russian defectors have warned of this possibility. The attack. When these forces attack the United States, the attack will come as the result of a nine-pronged strategy, and it will involve multiple allies under the direction of the United Nations. What I've learned is that the Naval War College has practiced each of these scenarios multiple times since I first reported on these scenarios. In every case, America becomes America. Like, instead of ICA at the end, it's IKA. America. KA. In other words, surrender is the only option in order to avoid complete annihilation. Here are the 7 different fronts from which Russia and her allies will launch an all-out attack, which will make use of limited cyber attacks upon the grid. And there have been cyber attacks since this article came out. Steve Quayle recently told me that he is seeing unprecedented military movement in Montana. Many are reporting the same all around the country. Even here in where I'm at in Texas, we're seeing a lot of military helicopters. Okay? What we are seeing is the mobilization for war. Russia and China are preparing to invade the United States. It is my belief that we will be embroiled in a violent internal dispute when the attack comes, which is why we need to stop fighting among ourselves, okay? Because something's coming. The United Nations will invoke the Kigali principles and be in charge of the invading force. Since I first reported on leaked information that American military leaders were expecting an attack from 7 different area sources, more information has come to light. First, elements of the following scenarios have been repetitively practiced at the Naval War College. So they're practicing lots and lots of it. In each instance, America loses badly. And that's what prophecy has been saying too. See the Deagel report, DEAGEL report, which tells us that in just over 4 years from, what was this article from? October of 2020, 4 years from now, most Americans will be dead. How you feel about that? That's what they're saying. In 4 years from October 2020, within 4 years, most Americans will be dead. All right, let's keep going. Here's an update on newly acquired information, which is added to our understanding of what is coming. Military leaders know it, as many of them provided information to me with regard to a combination Russian and Chinese attack upon our country. And as I've written about over the past several years, previous Russian defectors have warned of this possibility. Phase 1, a fifth column attack. Fifth column attack is already underway in America. It is largely compromised. Hold on. I think I know what word they were trying to say. It is largely comprised of Antifa and BLM. That's the first phase. However, these groups, along with the level of their attacks, pales as to what is coming to America. What is coming is an all-out fifth column attack, and it will be carried out by terrorists who have already gained entrance into the United States. What did I just tell you? That I saw that there were Middle Easterners that had been here for a while in my vision that seemed Americanized, but they were basically plants, and this article just says it. And I've said it in my previous vision, in my previous video, so it's not like I'm just suddenly saying this. You'll see it's there, all right? Terrorists who have already gained entrance into the United States. Key assassinations and critical infrastructure sabotage will be carried out by these forces. Random acts of violence will be perpetrated upon the American people, including the slaughter of innocent Americans. Told you. The attack upon schools, I'm telling you that, and malls, I've mentioned that, will be common. I've often referred to this as the coming TET offensive, in which all the embedded terrorists will simultaneously attack America in dozens of locations. They're just waiting for their signal. Phase 2, the Alaskan front. We'll see the Russians attacking the lower 48 from Alaska after our most northern state is quickly overwhelmed. Well, what's our most northern state? Was it New York? Washington State? From Canada's point of view, this will likely be preceded by an attack upon Taiwan, which we just had, maybe in the last week, okay? In which American forces will be drawn away from America to defend Taiwan. thus weakening the home defense. Didn't I tell you my visions? The military won't be able to help us. We're going to have to fight on our own. Told you that somehow there's going to be a communication breakdown and some other things. I told you they won't be able to help us. Okay. Thus weakening the home defense. 2 years ago, the Chinese, Russians, and the Mongolians practiced the invasion of Alaska. Phase 3, the Cascadian invasion. The Cascadia Fault is on the west coast of basically what? Washington State and Oregon. Am I correct? In close proximity to the invasion of Alaska, massive amounts of Chinese troops will pour across the Canadian border and consume the west coast where they bought land, I'm sure. Embedded Chinese already in America, thanks to the Chinese control of the port system. We had that Chinese spy that was discovered recently, like a month ago, right? But thanks to Chinese control of the port system, I told you they have control of some ports on the west coast. They do, they own it. They will seize key assets similar to what Army Ranger paratroopers do prior to an advance. Of course, you would get in control of their grid, their water, their food, everything, right? Everything that is a key asset they would want to take control of right away, including the military and their ability to come together and fight this, right? And communication. Over the past 3 weeks, it's from October, this was printed. I've covered Canzuk, Canzuk, and the amassing of Chinese troops in Vancouver, British Columbia. As previously covered on the CSS, America is being separated from its allies, and we will stand alone against what is underway and what is coming, which is what I've always heard. Nobody's going to stand up for us. When these CHICOM troops cross the border, capital CHICOM, they will fan out and invade Idaho, Montana, and seize the oil fields of Wyoming. Taking prisoners is not part of the plan. Didn't I tell y'all my vision? They were killing everybody. Okay? And those that do get taken, they're going to camps to be executed. And what I saw in the visions. And other people have seen. But they're seeing it right here in print. Phase 4, Red Dawn. The Central American Front will witness a conglomeration of 30 Central and South American states, which will combine military strike forces backed by Russian military supplies. And I believe it was Chuck Youngbrandt who had said, yeah, they would come up from the Mexico area, these Latino forces, because they were promised by Russia land, but all they would find is a grave, but they didn't know that at the time. That's what Chuck Youngbrandt said, but right here in this page it says, yep, they're getting ready to do it. Presently, El Salvador, Colombia, and Brazil are the only American allies left. Trump has strategically diminished the potential success of such an invasion with a wall. However, this will still tie up American resources, which will deplete military resources elsewhere. Remember, the ability for the United States to fight a prolonged campaign was greatly diminished because of the economic devastation caused by the planned COVID lockdowns and the economic devastation that followed. Phase 5, the Southeastern invasion. The Southeastern Front will witness an amphibious invasion following the successes of the first of 3 fronts in which major American military assets will be deployed away from the southeast. So they're going to want to get the troops off the southeast coast to defend so that they can't defend against the scissors attack from America's northwest and southwest. So they're going to invade on the west and the east coast and the south coast and the north coast, right? All right. The invasion will come out of Cuba. Many thousands of Chinese forces have deployed in Cuba via Mexico. The Russian Navy and Air Force will supply support. Phase 6, Calexit and other paramilitary assets located in California. In a secondary and delayed attack, Calexit backed Chinese forces embedded in American ports. So if you see some divide in California, it could have something to do with a preemptive attack by, other countries. just to get ready for what they're about to do, and they would want to divide California, right? Backed by Chinese forces. Okay. All right. So, since they do have these ports in California, and they do, all right, they're embedded in American ports who have entered the country in cargo ships will be unleashed. So someday the shipments of goods will be soldiers coming for you, okay, that will be unleashed to attack key military bases in California. At the same time, Chinese soldiers who are embedded in the Sierra Madres will join forces with the Latin American forces as they sweep northward through Mexico and will dramatically burst through the border and then fan out to the north, west, and east. All right, we still got phase 7, 8, and 9. I'm just going to check comments for just a second. Oh, A. Strumming, he says, how were they killing them in the vision? Was it beheading? I never heard your vision. Okay. It's in the beginning of my channel. If you go all the way back, it talks about the Russian invasion, but the way that I saw it was, when I first said it 5 years ago, I had pretty bad amnesia, and I was giving the whole of 2 visions that I'd actually seen. The first vision, I was seeing them coming down in their parachutes, right? And they were just shooting everybody, like in the cities. They were um kind of kamikaze in these black helicopters into some of the semi tall buildings, not necessarily skyscrapers, but tall buildings that had glass around them. They were just, it didn't matter if it was women, it didn't matter if it was children, it didn't matter who it was. They were locking people into restaurants and setting them on fire. They were pushing a lot of people into a sauna, like packing it into the heat, that sauna room that you kind of sweat in at the gym. They packed it full of people, fully clothed, and turned up the heat and locked the doors. Okay, that's the kind of, it was very gruesome. It was very quick. It didn't matter who it was. And that was what I saw in the cities. I saw some cities were fenced around all the cities with prison fencing with the razor wire at least 9 feet tall, and nukes coming for some of these cities. I saw in the more country areas, they were coming around with black Humvees. And back in when I saw some of these visions, it was early 2000. They didn't really have Humvees in the Army back then, but I was seeing Humvees with extended cabs with a canopy where they were going to people's homes and saying, hey, you got 10 minutes, 15 minutes to pack a bag for, whatever you think you'll need in your new home. But whoever went with them never came back alive. And so you only had an option to fight or run at that time. Okay. And that people's dinners were getting left on the plates. So, and I saw that the military was completely just not there. You are going to end up having to fight for your life. Literally, it's going to be like one person to every 20. So you're going to have to, maybe cut down on your cigarettes and, learn some terrain, you know what I'm saying? You're going to have to get ready for some flanking maneuvers, you know what I'm talking about? Because when this happens, you're not going to get the forewarning that you think you're going to get. If you're in a city and the nukes are coming, you've got 15 minutes from the time you find out till it hits. So there's no getting out. I mean, especially with the traffic, you never get out, you know? I didn't get to see the beheading not in that vision. No, 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 no. The beheadings I saw during the tribulation and those visions, but more so in the Russian invasion, I saw just any way possible they could take you out. I saw that. And it's going to be really bad. You don't comply with what they say. If they say, oh, everything will be okay if you come with us, just pack a bag. Don't you trust that. They are lying to you. You better run. Okay. You want to get some advice. Seriously, Red Dawn's going to happen. And in this article, they're talking about Red Dawn. This is going to really happen. There's not going to be really a warning. You're going to have to look for, tremors that keep happening that aren't earthquakes, and parachutes coming out of the sky, and gunfire. You're going to have to learn to start listening for too many planes in the sky, things like that. You need to really keep an eye out because this is going to happen in the future. The Jeremiah 50:12 explain how America is the hindermost of nations. It will not exist. That's right. It won't. Not the way it is. No. America's a proud nation. The pride falls. The proud fall. Okay. Let's go ahead and look at the last three. Number 6, 7. Well, no, last three would be 7, 8, and 9, right? Phase 7, Russian attack from the Arctic. Now we've got the Arctic on the top of the world and Antarctic at the bottom of the world against the Arctic, okay? So they're going to come from the top, not just Alaska. Russian forces will come out of the Arctic and sweep down through Canada and will attack the U.S. through Minnesota. This will allow the Russian-led forces to cut the United States in half at the Mississippi River. The amphibious landings in the southeast will make their way north on the Mississippi River with naval vessels. These forces will link up with Russians coming in from the north. If I could give just a little bit of advice here, if you're getting captured or if you're overhearing these Russians talk, they're going to look American. And a lot of their camo is going to look slightly American, mostly, but you'll see slight differences. You'll know that those are not Americans, and you're going to be able to tell that they're speaking Russian. So you might want to know a little bit of Russian, some important words like fan out, search this area, let's kill the Americans, or whatever it is they've got to say, some military terms, so that you might be able to at least distinguish in part what they might be planning. And you know what I'm saying? That just take a look, get one of them Russian English translation books, look up some keywords, right? All right. So they're going to link up with the Russians coming in from the north. Phase 8, turning out the lights and starving the Northwest. Now, how many grid attacks have we had? They do what is that? Electromagnetic pulse, EMP. The grid's down. We can't communicate with anybody, right? So they're talking about phase 8, turning out the lights and starving the Northeast. UN-controlled Chinese and Russian forces would prefer to not have to enter major American forces in the Northeast. Urban conflict is the most expensive in terms of men and material. Subsequently, this region can effectively expect chemical weapons to be unleashed on the Northeast. These weapons can be completely deadly, and then the effects will fade over time, thus allowing for occupation. How sweet. Some analysts expect parts of the military in this region to defect, parts of American military to defect. Okay, there's always turncoats, as they used to say, to defect and join forces with the enemy, like in Red Dawn. Also, another popular option consists of the use of neutron weapons, which will kill people but leave the infrastructure intact. Phase 9, surrender and subsequent genocide. So you surrender, you think you can save your life? No. It says surrender and subsequent genocide, not re-education or, hey, maybe we can get along. It's genocide. The Americans in this region will be allowed to surrender. However, they will quickly be transported to FEMA camps and makeshift FEMA camps. The last 3 Chinese defense ministers have advocated for the complete extermination of all people in North America prior to colonization. Trudeau and his traitors might be well advised to pay attention because this involves the elimination of people in the newly formed state of Kanukistan. Yes, there will be the camps that Celeste and myself have frequently spoke about. All the brown shirt traitors, Biden, Harris, Pelosi, Feinstein, et.al., will be executed by the Chinese as they hate dishonorable traitors. Conclusion. Trump knows this is what they say. Why do you think our troops from Afghanistan are being recalled and repositioned for the coming conflict? I hope you're armed and prepped and know how to hide. Okay? It's pretty crazy, right? Okay, we still got some people here. That's good. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at Zechariah 2:7 super duper fast. How about that? All right. 2:7. Right. Mm. I've got Zechariah 2, 7 through 9. Deliver thyself, O Zion, that dwellest with the daughter of Babylon. Oh, how appropriate. For thus saith the Lord of hosts, after the glory hath he sent me unto the nations, which spoiled you. For he that touches you touches the apple of his eye. For behold, I will shake mine hand upon them, and they shall be a spoil to their servants. And ye shall know that the Lord of hosts hath sent me. Right? Is there another verse that we would like to look at? High school is when the Russians came. I remember a few of them. They were pretty nice. Oh yeah, yeah. I know some people from the Ukraine. They're the best. But those are the people. The military, that's different. You know, it's totally different. There's people and then there's politics. China's culture figures if you give up your failure, and their culture tells them to commit suicide. And yeah, that's sad, isn't it? They really hold really true to honor, and I wish that Americans had a little bit more honor. I really do. All right, so we were looking at a couple of Bible verses. I'm just trying to go back through the messages to see if I can find them. Daniel 11:11. I can type that in pretty fast. Daniel 11:11. And the king of the south shall be moved with choler, and shall come forth and fight with him, even the king of the north, and he shall set forth a great multitude, but the multitude shall be given into his hand. Creepy, isn't it? This is creepy. Absolutely. Whenever you have a Bible verse, Watchman, it always just really hits to the core. It really does. All right. 1,000 fall, 10,000 to the left, 10,000 right, but no harm shall come nigh thee. We all, these are the last days, so we have to make sure that we make everything of every day that we have. I can't stay on much longer, you guys, because, my son needs to get to work in the morning, so I've got to let him get some rest. And the longer I stay up, it's going to be harder for him to really just wind down. But I want to thank every one of you for making my birthday so very special. And just remember to like and subscribe and comment and share. And I just want everybody to have the best day, especially today. All right. I love you guys, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.